Hello, good afternoon. Sweet 16's over. We had some awesome matchups. I will personally say for my picks, and we're going to go through it, I only had one game correct. I was off every which way, so do not trust me when it comes to my Elite 8 picks, because yes, I'm going to make some Elite 8 picks. But man, let's just go through it, and let's see where I went wrong. All right, so out of the Houston versus Miami matchup, honestly, this one looked like a lot of fun. And on paper, Houston still was the favorite, and it didn't feel right in my gut to pick Miami to do the upset, even though they had a wonderful game against Indiana where they blew them out of the water. I went with my gut. I thought the Cougars could move on, and in the end, the Canes ended up getting the last laugh because they upset the last, I think, yeah, it was the last number one seed in the tournament, and so they're going to go on to play in the region title. UCLA against Gonzaga. Man, like I said, this is potentially probably the best game of the tournament so far. It had everything. It had a comeback. It had some clutch buckets there at the end. It was phenomenal. Personally, I had thought that the experience of UCLA and their seniors and the guys who had been there before when they went on their Final Four run could help them get over the top. But then again, they played that Gonzaga Bulldogs team, and that team was led by Drew Timme. He had the experience. He was able to get his guys organized, as they would say, get the puppies organized. It was a phenomenal game. It did take that last second shot to go in for Gonzaga to move on, but this was one of those games that's going to be remembered for a long time. Owls against the Volunteers. I had come in picking the Volunteers, and the reason why is just because of how well and how solid their victory was against Duke. That wasn't anything to discredit because I had Duke representing in this region for the Final Four, but the Owls proved me wrong. They're playing for a chance to go to the Final Four against Kansas State. So Texas against Xavier. Personally, I did not have a pick in this one because it was too close to call, so I decided not to put a horse in this race, and I can't say confidently looking back at it now, oh yeah, I would have picked Texas, because in the fashion that they won, Texas team, man, they are rolling. It was a great game. Musketeers come up just short, but this is nothing to fret about. They can build on this going into next season. Kansas State against Michigan. Another one of those phenomenal games that had to go to overtime. Some clutch buckets there at the end tied it up to send it into OT by Michigan. The coaching of Tom Izzo was on full display. But Kansas State, man. Marquise Noel carrying that team with all the assists. He had a huge double-double, set a tournament record. This game was phenomenal. I had picked Sparty because I thought they would move on, but Kansas State has the last laugh, which that clutch pickpocket there at the end with the layup at the buzzer. This Kansas team, they are red hot, and I do not know who can beat them. I think they are the funnest team to watch in the tournament right now. Arkansas against UConn. I was rolling with the Razorbacks. I just thought with the momentum of upsetting the number one team, they could coast into the Elite Eight for consecutive years. I was trusting the coach. I thought he could get the guys organized and ready for this game, but man, this game was not what they intended and what they expected. UConn, like I said in a couple of videos back, they are probably the biggest dark horse sleeper team right now that nobody was talking about, because here they are. They're in the Elite Eight. They're one win away from getting to the Final Four and reliving the old glory days of UConn basketball. Alabama against San Diego State. Personally, I'd picked Alabama in this tournament. They just seemed too overly matched for this Aztecs team. And that's no discredit to the Mountain West champs. It's just the level of competitiveness and who the Aztecs had played up to this point just didn't seem like it could compare to the Crimson Tide. They proved me wrong. The Aztecs are going to the region final. They're the first San Diego State team to represent this far in the tournament. Creighton against Princeton. It's been a phenomenal run for Princeton, the Ivy League school that no one thought could get this far. Hell, I didn't even pick them to get this far. I had them losing to Arizona, but ended up getting the last laugh there. Creighton, as you saw, they beat them on the offensive boards. They were not able to stop the big man or anybody at that matter down there in the paint. It was a back and forth boxing match there in the first half, blow for blow. They would get two, they would get two. It was a wonderful game. But there in the second half, as you saw, Creighton's defense stepped up. Princeton was missing shots. They were able to pull away, just like how Creighton did against Baylor there at the end of their game. It's been a phenomenal run for Princeton. This isn't something to sleep on. This is something that they could definitely build on